Brian, stop the tape.
Okay, Mike. Oh, wait. Rewind that scene, please.
Rewind that scene.
Rewind that scene. Rewind it.
Rewind that scene. Rewind that scene.
I'm Mike Rizzo.
I'm Brian Bonds.
And this is
Rewind That Scene.
It's a podcast about our backstory growing up in Bay Ridge, Brooklyn, lifelong friends, comedy duo, Bobo Touch.
That's what's up.
Every other week, we do this podcast about the movies that we grew up loving, specifically cult classics in the 80s and 90s, right, Brian?
We used to go to the VCR store and pick out our favorite VHS tapes, and our mommies would let us watch it.
Oh, yeah.
We went back in time to watch our favorite movies, and we started to call up some of the cast and crew.
Yeah, this is a podcast about that, diving back into time.
And at the end, we kind of remix our favorite scene.
It's real fun, real weird. We have a good time.
Tell them about today's episode, Rizzo.
Oh, okay, Bonds. So today's episode is about The Crow, a cult classic from 1994, which was based off of a graphic novel by James O'Barr featuring Brandon Lee, Bruce Lee's son. It's just one of our favorite movies. We probably watched it well over 100 times. Probably more. I would say 200 times. Just had a huge influence on us as kids.
We learned that the writer and creator James O'Barr based it on losing his wife and also another tragedy about a couple. So there's a lot of darkness around this film, but it's also a beautiful movie, and holy shit, it's loaded with action, packed stuff. And you're right, Miramax did it on an indie budget.
It's true. I mean, it's also great because James O'Barr, I guess, he wrote the comic book as a way to grieve because he lost his fiancée, and that's exactly what this movie's about. Eric Draven, played by Brandon Lee, comes back from the dead to avenge the killers because they killed his fiancée. So he puts on the makeup and goes after the gang. So it's, this action-packed revenge love story, essentially, with just incredible gothic tones that we forever adore. Pretty much defined our childhood. We used our parents' camcorders and did a shot-for-shot remake of this movie in our backyard in Bay Ridge, and we both fought over being Brandon Lee's character that we split the role of Eric Draven. Right, Brian?
It's true. I was the chubby crow, and Riz was the
elongated, lanky, vertical crow.
And listen, it was great. We even recruited some of our best friends who lived in the building from the Stairwell Gang to even play Tintin and other characters. And we had the best props that we can get from weird local stores in the neighborhood.
We literally grounded people from our building to play these characters. We threw a dummy off the balcony that was supposed to be Skank. We did the alleyway behind these garbage pails behind the building. We had it all figured out, and we had a legit Tintin, so that was amazing. Thing is, though, we have to find these tapes, Brian. These tapes are either in your mother's apartment or in New Jersey. One day we'll resurrect these tapes, just like resurrecting Brandon in this episode.
We are recording this podcast right now as our children are sleeping in the room next to us, and this is the fucking truth. So let's dig into The Crow. If you haven't seen it, go watch it right now and listen to this episode afterwards. And if you have seen it, listen to this episode and tell a motherfucking friend to listen to it and watch this movie.
Yes, please spread the word far and wide. Watch this movie. It's amazing, life-changing. Oh man, I'm so excited. So who's our first guest, Baby Bond?
Well, check it out. You've seen him in Hackers, True Romance, Prison Break, Artificial Intelligence. I mean, the dude is incredible. He portrayed Tintin in The Crow. Laurence Mason,
Tintin. Get him on the line, Bond.
Gentlemen, we're having a little cocktail for everybody who can't see us, I should say. A little Friday cocktail during the COVID shelter in place.
Yes. So thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to have you. We're huge fans of your work. Our first question is, how did you get involved with acting?
My mother's told me many stories from when I was a child, before I could even, remember, but she'd play PBS Pavarotti. I would lip sync to the concerts. I shaved all my hair off on my head and wore my dad's shades and a lollipop and tried to be Telly Savalas from Kojak. She was horrified to see me in the kitchen on the floor with my hair. And then the big one that I do remember was I was a huge Star Trek fan. I begged my grandmother to get a Star Trek shirt. Of course, they didn't have that merchandise at that time, but she did pretty good. She found a V-neck, tan terry cloth, 70s, it was close enough. And I was thrilled. I took my mom's mascara and made the arched eyebrows, and I proceeded to be Spock. I guess the difference with me is that, because all kids pretend and we all love TV, but I did it for a week. I was Spock for a week. I showed no emotion in my home for a week. And so I think, as she tells it, by day 3, she said, she started to get concerned. And I'd just be like, Mother, there's no need for concern. That's not logical. I just didn't give it up. I wouldn't, So by the weekend, either he needs help or we need to find something for all this.
It almost sounds like a mother's worst nightmare in a way.
Yeah, she was concerned. She was. I was born in the Bronx and I grew up in the Upper West Side. Luckily, a neighbor suggested, try an acting group, an after-school kind of thing. So that's what she put me in, and it was just serendipitous. From there, the voice of Oscar the Grouch from Sesame Street, Norberto Kerner, he, I guess, discovered me, and he said, this kid's really great. There's this great children's company. It's called the First All Children's Theater. You should have him audition. And I did, and I got accepted, and I joined their company, and, it was real work. I used to call it a Broadway baby. So I was, from 10 to 13, I did shows, 9 shows, a week.
Oh, wow.
So that's the track I was on. I've always been on it. I wanted to do musical theater. That was my dream. Until I saw Sidney Poitier in a movie called To Serve With Love. And then I was like, this drama thing looks interesting, and that's when I got into drama and comedy.
Yeah.
From First All Children's Theater, I went to Performing Arts High School, Fame High School, with Jennifer Aniston, Rena Wilson, and Eagle Eye Cherry, and spotted by an agency, and they, like a draft pick, they picked me right out of our showcase. Went to SUNY Purchase, like the SUNY Mafia, with a lot of other amazing actors. And I quit and went pro, and the rest is history. So yes, in answer to your question, pretty much since birth. That's how it happened.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
With that, how did you find the part in the audition as Tintin in The Crow? How did you stumble upon that?
Pretty dominant boutique agency in New York, and I signed with them right out of college. Just did the New York hustle. It was not easy. It's a hard job being an actor, and I did a lot of things for free just to get my feet wet, and luckily I did get the call for this project called The Crow with Brandon Lee, and immediately I was excited because I was a Bruce Lee fan. I grew up, that was my hero. And I got the audition, and they were holding it at the Tribeca Film Center, which was Robert De Niro's creation in Soho for New York. And it was a big hub for creativity back in the 90s. A lot of things came out of there.
Yeah.
And so I went there in character because I'm a method actor. So I wore some leather pants. You know what I'm saying?
On the train as Tintin?
On the train as Tintin. I had the vest, my own vest. I already knew what he looked like. I made my own backstory. He was, a rebel assassin from Egypt who ended up in Detroit somehow. I went in character, met Alex Proyas. I did my thing. He recorded it. We talked about it. And then I forgot about it, which is what you got to do as an actor. You do the best you can, and then you let it go, because 1 out of 50 that you're going to book. So I let it go, and I just got that call one day. You booked it. The rest is history.
Amazing. What was the day-to-day schedule like in terms of shooting at night?
I got to say, I wasn't prepared for it, but, when you're young, you're not prepared for anything. They don't teach you these things in acting school. For example, if it says at night in the script, that means at night. You know what I mean? So we're talking 3 months, 2 months, 3 months, nocturnal shoot. So it's kind of a flip schedule. You have breakfast at, 8, 9, lunch at 1, 2, dinner 4, 5 in the morning, and then you wrap, you go back to your hotel and you get some sleep, and then you do it over again. I was a young man, so nocturnal wasn't that much of a stretch for me, and obviously wasn't in a huge part of the movie, so I had a lot of off time. So yeah, me and Tony Todd, we ripped that town up pretty bad. North Wilmington.
Nice.
Tony Todd, Candyman. He was like my big brother. We'd shoot pool, we'd go, clubbing. I mean, it was pretty sweet. It was a really great lifestyle. I miss it. It was nice.
How did you transform yourself into the character Tintin? I mean, the guy packs a lot of heat. He's got those slick skills with the knives. He's real badass, and he's like this menace. How did you channel that?
I'm gonna say 50-50. I'm gonna say they wrote, David Shaw, the writer, who adapted the comic from James O'Barr. I think, he gave us a lot of really great things to say and great character development and the production value, the director, everybody put in, you know what I mean? So I'm not gonna take all the credit. I mean, I'm a badass, obviously, by nature, you know what I mean? So it's the union of and the whole cast. I mean, Patrick Kelly, I mean,
yeah. T-Bird.
You get on set with him. He's from the Warriors. Again, these are my heroes,
Yeah.
The Warriors, Bruce Lee, these were like heroes, iconic things for, a kid from the 70s. So you mix with that, it's hard not to be a badass,
Yeah.
So
You guys are definitely a slick crew.
Oh, I love it.
Top Dollar's crew is legit.
And speaking of iconic, the famous alleyway scene with you and Brandon Lee is just amazing. How much practice and choreography went into it? And I know there's so many awesome lines. Was any of that improv or anything like rehearsed beforehand?
Well, I gotta say, I do improv a lot. I've got a lot of cool sound bites and stuff like from Hackers and other movies. But this one, it's all David Shaw, the writer. He just wrote a great badass script. I did not improv on this one at all. It was all David Shaw, Halloween into Mañana. That wasn't me. That was
the
him.
Best.
But as far as that scene, that was my biggest scene, obviously. And it was all a countdown to that scene for me. Jeff Amata was the martial arts and basically stunt coordinator for the whole project. He's amazing, and he's a master martial artist. He's done scene combats and so forth. And I flew down a couple of weeks early, thankfully, to Alex Proyas, who he really took the time to make sure we were all on the same page to create this world. I met with all the wardrobe and props and scenic designers, everything. By day one, we were all ready to go. And as for that particular scene, Jeff, Brandon, and I, we did it together. It wasn't like one person said, this is what it's going to be. We pretty much created what it was and then rehearsed it carefully with the stuntman as well, who took that humongous...
Oh, yeah,
into the wall. Yeah, straight into the wall. It's always really weird when you get on set and then you see the guy who looks a lot like you dressed in your costume.
That's like a major fly. It looks like you flew 30 feet.
I've had a lot of stuntmen, and it's always a weird feeling. It's kind of like, thanks, dude, It's like... But the biggest thing I remember from that scene was that you got to remember, and nobody else can claim this, Brandon Lee was raised by Bruce Lee, so he knew kung fu like by the time he could walk, and his biggest challenge was not to use it in this fighting scene because his character was not a martial artist. So it was just fascinating to me how he had to edit and censor himself to fight like a normal person. He would say, no, wait, I have to just throw a straight punch here. Or no, I can't do a roundhouse kick, because, and that just turned me on so much. I studied martial arts my whole life, and just to see someone struggling not to do it, to do something you're training to do, it was just amazing. Once he said action, I just had to stand and deliver. I mean, obviously he could take me apart in a million ways, I just had to
I would be terrified.
I just had to, really just hold my ground and not be intimidated because, he was a master. He was,
Yeah.
So it was an important scene. I think I'm the first kill. And,
yeah, you are.
So.
Were you okay with that? Being the first kill? All right.
Yeah, I definitely. I was the first kill and also mentioned the most. I've heard that. So
it's true.
The victims aren't we all? I mean, it's so quoted, and the Halloween line.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Very proud of that. Yeah.
Did you use real knives in the alleyway scene?
To tell you the truth, for most films, anytime they do a close-up of any kind of weapon, be it gun, knife, etc., they're always going to want to try and use the real thing because that looks best for camera, yeah? Depending on what needs to be done, for example, with the knives, if it were a close-up scene, yes, the knives were completely real. But obviously, if I'm throwing them and so forth, they're going to be rubber knives. Really good replica looking, but nonetheless, not real. If you recall, there is a scene where I'm throwing them straight at camera. They call it crow vision. What they did was rig a knife-proof kind of shield around the cameraman, around the camera. So funny enough, on the first take, Alex wanted me, he said, I need something straight at camera, like dead on. And so I got it on the first take, and I remember Jeff Amata being so proud of all his training and work with me, and I just nailed it. Unfortunately, I didn't nail, the camera lens, which is very expensive and takes a minute to replace. But we got the shot, and I do believe that shot is in the movie.
Impressive first take, man.
Yes.
Damn.
I think a shot where they were real was when we're in the bar, and we have that famous kind of everybody drawing a weapon on each other, which has been copied a million times since then, by
definitely.
the way. But
everyone loves that scene.
Fire it up.
Yeah, exactly. I believe that was a replica. And the bullet I swallowed was a replica.
Yes.
I get that a lot. Did you really swallow a
like
bullet?
how'd you do that?
No, I didn't. It's sleight of hand. It's camera trickery, and that's all I'm going to say.
Is there anything memorable that you want to share about, the making of it, or something listeners might not know about Tintin and your experiences?
Memorable. I mean, the whole thing was memorable. It was painful too. It's taken me a long time to be able to even talk about it. Mm-hmm. But in time, they say time heals all wounds, and I think it was about maybe 5 or 6 years ago, I actually got to the point where it wasn't a painful thing, because in all reality, it was a tragedy. And so I've always had, emotional attachment. It wasn't just a job. I was a very young man in my early 20s when we shot that. It was one of the first things I shot. So that took a lot of time to get through. But now that I'm on the other side, it's crazy because it's such an iconic film. It's a cult classic. I have friends all over the world because of this movie, and it's beautiful, So I'm glad that I made it through to the other side. Memorable, it would be the people I worked with. I mean, Brandon, he was a beautiful person. I mean, we didn't have a lot of time together, but he was a strong, ambitious, wise for his years, in love. He was about to get married. It was very beautiful to meet the son of an icon that I worshipped, and to see that he was, just as amazing and would have been just as amazing, I think, as Bruce Lee. I think his father would have been very proud of him. Unfortunately, a lot of people are not with us from that cast. John Polito, who played Gideon, is from a million awesome movies, Miller's Crossing, etc. Great character actor. He taught me so much. I mean, I was just a baby, He taught me a lot of what an actor can do and what an actor's power is. Michael Wincott, another brilliant actor. Michael Massey, brilliant, I mean, the cast was just insane,
Yeah.
It was an insane cast.
It's true.
These guys, seasoned veterans, that was like a launch pad for my career, basically. So yeah, that whole thing was memorable.
Yes.
And it was just groundbreaking. It was Miramax's first big hit. The soundtrack was a huge hit. I mean, it was a big movie that wasn't supposed to be. A lot of people didn't believe in it. The fact that it's still so strong, they've tried to remake it, and they've talked about remaking it, and nothing comes anywhere close to the original. And just to be a small part of that, I'm very proud of, and I always will be.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, is there anything additionally you want to add about like fun trivia and things that happened?
Or days before the shoot?
Well, I'm going to do a shameful plug for my book that I'm writing called Crow Vision. It's basically my memoirs. There's a few chapters there definitely dealing with the crow. Like most projects, big projects, you usually have a kind of like a dinner, like a meet and greet, when you're first meeting the guys you're working with. And so we had one of these in Wilmington, North Carolina. I think it was maybe the second week we were there and a couple of days before we started principal photography. So we all met, the whole cast. We met at a pretty nice restaurant. I'd met Brendan previously, and although, as I've said before, I worshipped his father, you know, I wasn't 100% sold because he was like a pretty boy, you know what I mean? I was like, how's this guy gonna be this, you know, amazing supernatural killing machine? To be honest, I just didn't see it, you know? I mean, so anyway, we all gathered at this nice restaurant, and the whole cast was there. His fiance was there as well. And someone was using a lot of colorful language, we'll put it that way. And, you know, and they were telling some kind of pretty inappropriate story at the dinner table. And I remember Brandon just saying, "Hey, watch your mouth, my fiance's here." And the table went silent. I mean, you could hear a pin drop. And I looked at him and I said, "Okay, there he is. There's the dragon. There's the son of Bruce Lee. There's the guy who could take you apart in 1,000 different ways." And right then and there, I was like, you know what? He can play this role. He does have it, because it's both. It's not just the Terminator, yeah? Eric Draven, yeah? He's a beautiful, free spirit who's chasing his dream, and then he's transformed into this person with fatal power, and I could see it. And I think everybody else could. And right then and there, I was like, he can do both. And that was always the trick of who's going to play the Crow. Can he do both? Can he be somebody you sympathize with, but also be scared shitless of? And yeah, just you know, just that. And it was noble. It wasn't in a nasty way. I mean, his fiance was there, and it was inappropriate. And you know, with one, you know, or two words, the table was just, we would have done anything for him not to go ballistic, you know. That's a credit to him and who he was. And I remember a director told me once, there are certain things actors can't play. Like, you can't play smart. Either you are or you aren't. That's what Brandon had, you know. He was fierce. So that's something I'll always remember. And I haven't met anybody with that since, and that was a long time ago.
Wow. Yeah, I love it. That's beautiful.
That's great, man.
So thanks for having me, guys. You guys are awesome. Keep it up. I want to come back.
Love to have you.
Definitely.
Do some other stuff. We'll talk about hackers, true romance, maybe.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah. Talk to you guys soon.
Thank you so much, Laurence Mason. That was awesome. Look out for his upcoming memoir and give him a follow on social media. Laurence Mason Official. Also, check out Big Dog's TV series coming to Amazon Prime this summer, and look out for Laurence as a federal agent in the unreleased City of Lies, examining the Biggie Smalls murder, starring Johnny Depp.
He's the best, man. It's a pleasure to have him on the show. Well, up next, we're going to chat with Angel David, who played Skank in The Crow. He's part of Top Dollar's crew.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, the gang, baby. That gang is fucking dirty.
Really just hybrid of trashy, hillbilly, New York, fusion kind of garfed up, trashy dude.
Like, what is he in the crew, right? He's like this dipshit, clueless, like, bumblefuck.
Feels fishy.
Yeah, like with this gritty darkness.
He's got a fantastic death scene in this film.
Yeah, it's like a low angle, like of him falling, like, ah! And we can't forget, I feel like a little worm on a big fucking hook.
Gangster. Gangster right there.
Can't forget that. All right, so, Angel David, you there?
I want to talk to him, brother.
Totally. And are you originally from New York?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I lived in Brooklyn for a while, and then moved to Manhattan, and kind of was there for most of my life.
Amazing. I guess, what was your experience like auditioning for The Crow, and how did you stumble upon your role as Skank?
Well, the audition was kind of interesting because my character Skank was the only one that wasn't in the James O'Barr graphic novel. My character was kind of, at the audition, was a compilation of other characters that were in the graphic novel, and the casting director and Alex just let me sort of improvise a lot of it. I made Alex laugh a couple of times, and yeah, he asked me to do a few other kind of things, and I enjoyed that because I got to create the character kind of on my own. Obviously, by the time I got to the set, there was a script, and the writers, wrote really cool, fun character.
That's awesome. Yeah.
What was that experience like shooting in North Carolina? From sort of reading about, the shoot, that it rained a lot, and days or weeks were you down there kind of filming the project overall?
Well, obviously we had a down, and then, after the tragic incident, we came back. So all in all, I was there three months. North Carolina is beautiful as Wilmington, and it's the sort of rainy hurricane season. We shot a lot. Most of my stuff was at night, and even when it wasn't naturally raining, it was raining on the set because it can't rain all the time, can it?
I feel like the character of Skank has like a real grit to him. You can almost get like almost like a troubled punk in a way. How did you create and drive that character? His character to me stands out. Top dollar crew. I love that character, man.
Well, thank you. Yeah, after the audition and they called me and said I had the part, I'm like, all right, cool. I had this entirely different sort of image of what he might be. I thought he was going to be a little bit slicker, a little bit, that kind of stuff. I was reading the script, and there was a lot of leeway for a lot of different ways to go. And then, to be honest, I showed up and I spoke to the costume designer, Ariana Phillips, who's brilliant. And I sort of gave her research and these articles and these pictures of what I thought maybe Skank would look like. And she was really sort of enthusiastic and said, "Oh, that's fantastic. I kind of created this thing. Can I show you?" And of course, I have the utmost respect for designers. And she brought me into the warehouse and she showed me these, car mechanic overalls with the arms cut off and this like antique weightlifting belt, and I'm like, yeah, that's the character right there.
Awesome.
Forget everything I gave you. And she goes, no, I'm going to use this for other stuff. Thank you, but I'm like, no, that's the character right there.
So beautiful. Our other favorite scene is the table scene. We probably watched that probably a million times. Just we studied it for its choreography and just how much gunfire and it's just an amazing scene. And I know you're under the table. And what was that scene like for you?
Alex and the stunt crew and those guys were all really, really good. I mean, they were amazing, and they choreographed all of that. Brandon was right in the middle of it. Obviously, he did a lot of the moves with Jeff Amata, the stunt coordinator, and they were working it all out. I was watching them do that because I always had a fascination with martial arts and all that sort of stuff, and just the choreography and then where the bullet hits were going to be, and we walked through everything. And then Alex came to me and goes, "Yeah, Australia got Angel, you're going to be under the table." And I'm like, yeah. And you're scared, and I'm like, I can do that. So
nervous stabbing through the table.
Yeah. That was kind of really cool. That effect was really cool. The camera's going to be here. You're gonna crawl all the way over here really fast to try to get out, then the sword's going to come down. And I'm like, that is very cool. I really loved shooting that scene. Really loved shooting it.
Great. That's awesome. Yeah, man. And, it's made an impression that on our generation and other generations, it's awesome to see a lot of people. Do you have any sort of memorable stories or vibes or thoughts about being on the set of the film that you remember that were good times, of course?
It was definitely ahead of its time. And I think we kind of felt that it was your sort of run-of-the-mill action movie, obviously because of Brandon's character, how striking it is, the story itself. Yeah, we all kind of knew that it was kind of ahead of the curve. And it was at a time when CGI was really young, so Alex was doing a lot of different things that in-camera stuff and miniatures and different things like that, and the crow's eye view and all that. I think people might shortcut in CGI and wouldn't get the same sort of grittiness. We knew this is going to be a cool movie. And Alex was really fantastic in terms of a director. He didn't micromanage. He didn't do all that stuff like some directors can do. He sort of showed us the world. The core group of people showed us the world and said, this is what we're going to do. This is what it's going to look like. And he sort of laid out the entire picture to us when we first got to the set and sort of toured the set in Wilmington.
That's so nice. Great when directors are like that and not so overbearing and give the actors freedom.
That's another reason why you got so many cool moments and so many the character things, and because Alex just knew that he had the right people and he just let them go. One of the many things that's great about working with somebody like Alex and being on set of The Crow, that always stays with you, that sense of creativity. Anything I write, anything I do is going to have that, sort of echoing through it.
Thank you so much, man, for chatting with us today, man. We really appreciate your time. Yeah.
Thank you, guys, and great to meet you. And I really do appreciate you guys sort of keeping the Crow alive and out there. And yeah, you're right. This is the next generation of people are discovering it, and I think you guys are really, really helping to make that happen. So I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, you got it, man. Anytime.
Well, that was insane. We got to talk about our favorite scene, man, the table scene. That was like awesome, man, to hear him talk about his perspective on that.
Dude, I'm really vibing out on the table scene, man. It's
Yeah.
one of the best orchestrated shootout scenes in probably any film. It's so intense.
Yeah, like how long do you think they took to shoot that? It had to be days, right?
Yeah.
All the choreography with all the bullets.
I think Eric Draven takes down like 100+ people in that scene.
Yeah. I also love when he pulls the sword out and he's like, "You're all gonna die," and then the guy like goes backwards through the window, like in a chair, into the stadium.
It was crazy. Yeah, man. I had no idea that Skank was not in the comic book and was created specifically for this film and was written, in the script.
That's really, really cool, actually.
How did I live this long not knowing this information?
Yeah, they kind of created this hybrid character for him. It's cool to hear that, like, how great the costume designer was to, like, really bring that to life.
And Angel's a great guy. We really appreciate taking the time to chat with us. And he's working on this project called Cherry Blossom High.
So keep a lookout for that. All right, up next, we got Marco Rodriguez. He's a great actor, and we're happy to hear his journey to the Crow.
Yeah, you've seen him in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, a ton of great films. Stallone's Cobra, the guy's OG. He's from LA.
He originally auditioned for another role before becoming Officer Torres, and there's one thing that Brian and I really love about this role. He's just this ultimate prick, like a real fucking prick.
He knows how to ride Ernie Hudson. He doesn't believe that Eric Draven is back from the dead.
Yeah.
Let's hear his journey to the Crow.
Let's get it.
Continued to work in movies and television. I got another break with the film Cobra with Sylvester Stallone.
Oh, hell yeah. Love that.
And, and then eventually, this opportunity came up with The Crow. I actually read for Michael Wincott's part. I guess it was it Top Dollar? Was that
Yeah, exactly. Top Dollar. Yeah.
I read for that. I thought I did a heck of a job on that, and I read for the director and the writer. And then they told me that they were interested in me for another part, and I said, no. I wanted that part. I mean, it's a great part, as you know, and so
yeah.
They said, no, Alex wants to talk to you. He wanted to talk to me personally. He really sold me on the idea of being on the project, even though the part was not as big as one of these main leads. It was a part of the Detective Torres, and he wanted me to be a part of this project, which he thought was really going to be an amazing thing. And, working with Brandon as well, first real feature, big feature, and said, okay, let's go over. He seemed to be like a really nice guy, the director. Yeah. And, flew me out to Wilmington, met up with another character that was he was a good friend of mine too. He was written out of the show. He was the Skull Man, I think it was, something like that.
That's right.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and
I think we saw that on the deleted scenes. Yeah,
he cast it perfect because this guy is perfect for the part.
He's got the look.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, he had the look, and I had worked with him on another show called The Gambler with Kenny Rogers, and so I thought this was going to be great. And then I find out, later we find out that he was written out of the movie. And my scenes were mainly with
Ernie Hudson.
Yeah, it was kind of special because I had worked with Ernie before, and he was with. We had the same agent at one point, and so at least I had some people that I knew, and I was there like a couple of weeks or something. It wasn't that long, but all my scenes were shot at night. And I believe most of the movie was shot at night as well. So I wrapped. They sent me back, and a couple of weeks later, I'm at home, and I open up the Times. Unbelievable, man! I'm reading the Times. I can't believe what I'm reading. That Brandon Lee was killed. He was, shot, killed, and I on the set of The Crow. And I thought right then and there, I thought, you know what? I mean, I felt bad for him and his family and everything, but also for the production. I mean, I figured that the production was going to just shut down, and that was the end of the movie, essentially. So I get a call back. I was doing a play. The producer I believe it was Edward Pressman. Am I correct in that? I'm called and they said, well, they want to reshoot some things so that will help the storyline better, and so they flew me back to do another revised scene of some sort. So I figured, I guess they were going to try to patch it up and try to make it work somehow. So exactly what they did.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I only met Brandon the first day I was there. He was, I guess, shooting another scene, and came up to him and shook hands, and he seemed like a really nice guy. Mm-hmm. And just very brief, but that was it. Yeah.
Did you get to hang out with Tintin or anybody, or Tintin or Sarah?
I wasn't there that long to really be able to do that, but I did get together with. She was one of the cops, African American young lady. She was. I can't remember her character, but she was one of the cops. So I dinner with her, and then also with Meeling.
Top dollar.
She was. I got to know her.
Yeah.
I really was not. My scenes really were not with anybody else but Ernie.
And out of curiosity, how do you feel action movies have changed today from when they were made? Or sort of these, I know The Crow's kind of a sort of special one because it's a dark film, and but it is kind of a superhero film. I mean,
I'm a real film noir buff, and I'm talking about the old 1940s movies. I really get off on those. I'm watching them all the time. And what I think set Crow apart so much was the film noirish aspect of it, moody thing that and I think some action movies these days do that. I mean, but they're so intent on trying to blow people away with their action that you kind of miss the real character study, the real emphasis on character rather than. The Crow had some kind of special thing to it.
What a great story. I mean, it's awesome that Alex wanted to keep him involved with the project. And, I mean, imagine being in Marco's shoes, pre-internet, man.
I can't even imagine what it was like for him and for all the cast and crew to, wake up and, see the headline that Brandon Lee unfortunately passed. It's just unfathomable, I mean, it's just so sad.
It's awesome we were able to chat with Marco, man. Great guy.
He's very active in the film world, so keep a lookout for him. Baby Bon, why don't you tell them about Scull Cowboy?
If you never knew who the Scull Cowboy was, and you did see The Crow, but never read the comic book, let me break it down for you, yo.
Yeah.
The Scull Cowboy in the comic book basically is this character who is following the Crow and others like Eric Draven who have come back, who are kind of in this weird stage of finding revenge and just what should they do with their time in life and how much time they have left seeking the evil versus good in them. And it's really deep. This character was portrayed by the iconic, awesome horror movie actor. You've also seen him in Weird Science.
Michael Berryman.
He's so amazing.
They filmed a scene, I think, with Brandon Lee in the beginning. Then there was a long time that went by. They filmed all the rest of the principal days, and then they were going to film him again at the end. But then they canceled it after the incident.
The Scull Cowboy makeup that Lance Anderson makes looks like the comic book, and I don't think I've ever seen any Scull character in any film to this day look as legit as the Scull Cowboy that Lance Anderson made that never made the cut of the film.
That's going to be cool to talk to him about that, because it was I think I only saw a little bit on the deleted scenes on the DVD, and it definitely looked cool, and I was intrigued.
This guy's the best. He's done Dead Presidents, Pet Sematary, X-Files, LA Confidential. The list goes on. Come on.
Sometimes I feel like they don't give the makeup department enough credit. You know what I mean?
And it drives me up the tomatoes.
Every detail that went into The Crow was ecstasy, Think about all the Halloweens that The Crow went through, They set the world into a frenzy.
It was the gothic tones that set everything off. All right, let's get Lance on.
Lance Anderson, the #1 makeup man.
I love that.
Yeah.
And how did you stumble upon The Crow as a project?
In film industry business, is mostly referrals from people that know you, and understand what you can do. Nobody likes to give a referral to somebody that may screw something up, So
Yeah.
You've got to have a pretty good track record. My suspicions are with Wes Craven, did movies like The Serpent and the Rainbow, and Shocker, Deadly Friend. He might have referred me to Ed Pressman, who's the producer on The Crow, when they were looking for a makeup artist. That's my guess. I mean,
yeah, great.
He really told me. I never asked. I just got I got a call and.
That's amazing. How was it working in North Carolina, and like, what was your day-to-day like?
It was fine until it wasn't. They had a nasty storm come in, hurricane. The place I was staying was on the beach, and it was on stilts.
Wow.
Like a vacation home on stilts.
Yeah.
And that storm hit. That beach house was just rocking and rolling.
Yeah.
And so we got in the car and we tried to get out of there. It was on a little island kind of a thing. It had a bridge that went across, and people were trying to get back and forth on that thing, trying to get to their places and trying to get out of there.
Oh man.
It was kind of scary. Weather was kind of really cold and miserable.
Yeah, and I guess in a way that's kind of what lended to the film, right? Like, you know, the darkness of the movie and it being goth.
Yeah.
I feel like it rained like constantly is what it seemed like.
Yeah, it was nasty weather. There was a scene where Brandon was out half naked. You know, it wasn't on a set. That was out in the real weather. I mean, he was freezing. It was freezing cold, and it was even kind of like misty, almost like raining. It was really rough for an actor to be out in that. You know, he had to run back all covered up with wardrobe just to keep him warm. He was shaking. It was so cold.
And how do those kind of weather conditions affect your makeup?
I use a pretty durable makeup. You know, oil-based makeup, and also it's kind of like a stain. It held up really good. I actually, you know, some of the wetness of it and everything like that actually made it increase the quality of it, the makeup. It was happening on the moment, in the filming, you know. But it was kind of logistically, it was kind of difficult to match everything, you know. He'd have rain all over his face, and then, you know, the next time you shoot it, you have to have that scene, and you have to go back and, you know, I took Polaroids at that time. We didn't have, you know, we weren't doing all the digital stuff, but I'd have to recreate that makeup for the next time they came back to that scene, because everything's not shot in sequence, you know.
Right.
So you got to copy every stage of the deterioration of makeup.
So you're like essentially kind of like matching Polaroids from the day before, or to match the scenes.
Yeah, you know, you have your script, and each page would have Polaroids, you know, taped onto the page. That way, make it, you go to the next scene, and you have to go back, you know, and look at what you did at that scene, and then go forward and match it, you know. It's
interesting too. I actually just re-listened to the Alex Proyas, the director of commentary, and there's one thing that he said that I thought was really interesting about how the makeup, everyone was kind of liking it, or maybe Alex was liking it more like distressed. And is that kind of part of, like, do you think of the rain conditions, or did you also like make it even more distressed, that like to give it that like worn in look? Well, from the moment he puts that makeup on in the mirror, it's pristine. You know, as the movie progresses, it deteriorates until it's almost gone. You know? Right. Yeah. So all those are stages, you know. Like I wouldn't bother to try to count how many stages, but there were so many stages that it went, you know, and you couldn't just arbitrarily do it. You know, it had to be, you know, you had to have these photographs, this Polaroid. Would be no way to do it without the Polaroids. I couldn't even imagine trying to like draw it, you know. Yeah, no way.
And did you bond with any sort of the cast or crew members in particular?
Yeah, I did. I did bond with people, particularly Ernie Hudson, who played the cop.
Yeah.
We're still, you know, we still communicate. We send each other Christmas cards. And
whoa, that's awesome. That's awesome.
He's great.
Yeah, he's great. And Brandon was about the same age as my son. And I was kind of almost like a father figure to him in a way. We bonded really, really well. He's probably one of the best actors, you know, as far as character, and well, he's probably one of the easiest actors I ever had the pleasure of working with.
That's great.
Yeah.
Had such a potential.
Totally. Did you work on Scull Cowboy at all? I know that was a deleted scene.
Yeah, I made a whole character and everything.
Yeah.
They shot it at one sequence, and then it needed a lot of work because he was talking through this mask, and they couldn't possibly use his voice. It was really weird sounding. And they never did the effects on it where he twirls in the wind and disappears or comes out that way. I'm not sure which way. Yeah, it was a complete outfit. It was like in the comic book. And then, of course, we had the tragedy, and they turned the whole story turned around to feature the little girl on the skateboard, Sarah, and Ernie Hudson. And they kind of rewrote the ending.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Has any other productions you've done? I know you've done amazing work. Remind you of working on The Crow? Like any similar sets or similar vibes or similar makeup that you had to do?
Not really. Working with Brandon was like working, like I said, with my son, and I've never really worked with an actor that I had an emotional connection with. Yeah, it was a unique experience.
It seems so, and even we interviewed Skank. Yeah, everyone's just saying it was such a special production and such a special feeling, and everyone knew it was a special movie, going in, and they were using miniatures and all this kind of stuff that was all in camera that was kind of ahead of its time. So it's great to hear, your first-hand experience is that, it's very special.
Yeah, it's actually the first movie that I've ever done where the actor, I make a lot of stuff, and I go to the set, and when my special effects are used, I'm there, and then I'm gone. I go there, and I do that. It was the first ones that I, did the makeup all the way from the beginning to the end with one actor, and then plus all the special makeup effects and all the special props and stuff that I used and made. So it was unique in that way.
Well, thank you so much, Lance. You can see Lance's Polaroids and hear more of his stories. Actually, in Shudder has a program called Cursed Film Series, which, talks about all the cursed film sets, and The Crow being one of them. And you should check out that episode. I think it's episode 4.
It's a very touching episode that covers a lot of the truth and hard work that went in, and a lot of sort of the questions you might have.
I would also love one day to physically see those Polaroids in person. Maybe we just drop by Lance's house and say what's up.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I'd love to check that out. I'd even love to go to the set of the film.
Yeah, we should definitely do a trip to North Carolina as a follow-up.
Now, Riz, I got a question for you. It's time to rewind that scene, and I want to know, what's your favorite scene?
My favorite scene is either Tintin alleyway scene, victims aren't we all, or the goddamn table scene.
Oh, man, you can't beat the table scene,
Goddamn table scene.
There's so many touching dialogue moments. I love the Gideon scene. I love the Funboy Dad scene with Darla. There's so many good scenes. Even the hangout hot dog at the Maxi Dog spot is fucking ill, man. That shit is legit. I want to go eat a hot dog with that dude.
Yeah.
But you are right. The table scene is iconic, and I think it's time to rewind that scene and remix that scene. Remix.
Ah! How the hell did that thing get in here?
Gentlemen.
Let me go! I gotta go! Chair roll over. So you're him. The Avenger. The Killers of Killers. Nice outfit. I'm not too sure about the face, though.
I just want him.
Well, you can't have him.
Well, I see you've made your decision. Now let's see you enforce it.
This is already boring the shit out of me. Kill him! Mad gunfire. Ooh, that had to hurt. Well, that's that. That guy was crazy. He's gone. Oh, Sword under the table. Guy falls out.
Grab sword. Kick. Come on, gunshots. I guess today's not a good day to be a bad guy, huh, Skank?
I'm not Skank. That's Skank right there. Skank did.
That's right.
Window scene out the window, CG, green screen.
Rudy Hudson runs back into the car.
Oh, you move, you shoot. And then Brandon Lee gets out of the way on his 1 foot.
So good. Man. The best.
Great. I think we nailed it.
Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah, we want to thank you guys for listening today, and also all of our guests. Riz, give it up for our guests, man.
Thank you, Laurence Mason, Angel David, Marco Rodriguez, Lance Anderson. This episode is just so special to us because, we remade it as kids, and it's definitely one of our favorite, and has such an impact on us and an impact on the world. So,
and we'd love to thank our families for letting us record this at our homes. Also, Willie and Suma, our studio booth, and our audio guru, Ruben Dax, for mixing and mastering this, and the programs that we're using, Ableton and Isotope.
Thank you, guys.
We make our own movies, and you need to check them out. It's called BoboTouch.com. You're going to go there and check out our web series and all the other stuff we have up there. Dope stuff. Give us a follow on social media, too. It's at Bobo Touch.
We do a lot of comedy. We do a lot of sketches. We're always making new, fun videos, so please give us a follow. Tell your friends, and please stay in touch.
DM us. We'll come by, and we'll cook for you.
Yes, we'll make you pasta.
Before we go jump some rooftops and act like Eric Draven and get out of here and crow off, here's a quick chat with our friend and singer of the band, the Miniature Tigers, Charlie Brand. We caught up with him when we were in LA, and he made a new single and album cover that is inspired by the Crow. He's dressed as a crow from when he was a kid.
Which is great because you met him on a tour, and then I guess you guys realized that you both bonded over the Crow. I think, which is why this is so cool. It's like he has an album cover with him as like a 10-year-old as Eric Draven, which is exactly what we did.
Here's Charlie's inspiration and how the Crow impacted him.
Break it down, Charlie.
As an artist and as a person.
Yeah, break it down.
Take it off, Charlie. Take it off. We're sitting here in Los Angeles, California. What neighborhood is this technically?
This is Highland Park.
Charlie's an amazing songwriter who I've had the pleasure of touring with a few times actually in the past. Always a delight. Watching their set every night, just a real treat. So it's
very heartwarming.
Yeah, well, you're the best. And so your new record, Vampires in the Daylight, and it's an amazing album cover.
It's me as the Crow. This was probably 1996 because I'm wearing the Crow City of Angels shirt. It's the sequel. I'd probably been the Crow maybe 2 times before that.
For the first single, Manic Upswings, to make this music video that is a sort of a tribute.
Yeah, I mean, the idea was to make a reboot of The Crow. That came from just being a kid, as I'm sure you guys did, just making home movies, and like I probably made that exact video in some ways, in some different form, a few times growing up, and just wanted to channel that kind of energy,
And so at what age did you learn about the Crow, and like what initially caught your attention?
I was 10 when the Crow came out, and I think it caught my attention because I was really into Van Damme movies and action movies, and this was, I think the soundtrack was really great. I know that was one of my first CDs. It was the Crow soundtrack, Nirvana Unplugged, and like Aerosmith or something, but so I think it was the combination of the music mixed with all the great action. And
what's your favorite scene?
I love all the shit in the first Crow with him and Ernie Hudson.
Yeah.
Like anytime they're hanging out, like I wish that was the whole movie, just those two guys.
I agree. There could have been more of that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Good dynamic there. Especially at the end when they kind of team up.
Yeah. I feel like my personal favorite might be the table scene.
Yeah.
Because it's just so intense. Yeah. What films would Brandon Lee be in today, do you think, if he was alive?
I think that's a good question. He could have been John Wick.
Yeah.
Do you know what I
mean? Yeah.
He was I rewatched The Crow recently before making this video just to pick up on little nuances. And man, he was a very good-looking man. Like, he could have really done anything. He was very handsome.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. With his long hair and everything.
What do you think he would have been in?
I agree. I think John Wick, I think The Matrix.
Do you think he would have gotten The Matrix?
Maybe.
He's like as good an actor as Keanu.
Maybe the Fast and Furious films.
Oh,
I could see that.
That's an interesting one.
He could have branched out and done some like romantic comedies. Or something.
Right.
Yeah, totally.
Had he been in a lot of movies before The Crow?
Showdown in Little Tokyo with
Martial arts.
Lundgren.
Yeah. And Rapid Fire.
Yeah, Rapid Fire. That was a good movie about.
Yeah, like would he have stayed doing action movies and then faded away into obscurity, or would he have branched out and done something else? He really was very beautiful.
Yeah,
I feel like he's versatile. I think
The Crow would have helped catapult him into a new category.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was The Crow very successful?
I think it was because it was a comic book, but also because of he was dead before it came out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think there was like kind of that hype around it and becoming.
Yeah, and I think that was like his first, obviously like his first major big breakthrough role, right?
Yeah.
Before that, those films were kind of unknown.
How did The Crow inspire your new music video and record cover?
I came across that photo and just thought it would be a great album cover, and it's me very gothed out. The album's very sad and kind of has some goth sounds in it, and it just felt right. And then I think the album cover informed the video, and it was really just coming from a place of, in the same way we made the album, which was just doing it ourselves and just having fun and not worrying about the outcome too much. It made me think about the times when we've made our own music videos, or like when I was 10 years old and remaking The Crow at home, and wanted to capture some of that spirit.
Like there's no questions.
Yeah, there's just no boundaries.
We're filming
either.
this. We're gonna film movies.
The imagination, you just go wild.
Shit.
Yeah,
that's why I love your guys' shit, because it really does have that same feel, and I'm sure like so much goes into it, but it seems so like it gives me the vibe of you're just making shit with your buddy.
Yeah. Thanks, man. Yeah, it's all about having fun. I mean, everybody who's listening right now should listen to all of the Miniature Tigers.
Yes, go listen to it now.
Yeah.
And watch The Crow.
And watch The Crow. And then come on our show. We got one more for you. What could people learn about revenge love stories like The Crow?
In life.
How important the love is. Because when I was watching the movie as a kid, and even when I rewatched it recently, their love story is so good, and that's what makes all the action and the revenge so good.
They're a good like ride or die couple. Like
comes
back, and I think you want to have
Shelley.
Shelley.
Those flashbacks, like
oh my god, they're
Shelley?
so good.
Is that you?
It's all like the red tones and all the red lights and everything. It's like so
when they're
great.
like flying over the city, like it's all miniature.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
It's so cool. I feel like you do not see that anymore.
Yeah, it is a really good thing.
Also, that soundtrack was iconic.
It's killer. It's killer. Charlie Brand of the Miniature Tigers. Check out their new record and check out the music video for Manic Upswings and check out their entire catalog. Go buy their music and go look out for their upcoming tour dates.
And rewatch The Crow. Also, if you have more time, check out our movies. We also make movies and comedies at bobotouch.com. Give us a follow on social media at bobotouch.
Stay tuned for the next movie we rewind.
Bobo Touch.